The first thing I want to talk about with captioning is that it changes. So captioning as a field and as a type of technology is rapidly growing as video communication becomes more and more important, and as speech-to-text technology and text-to-speech technology, as they evolve and get better and better. A lot of companies have a lot of incentive to make that technology better. Um, this is one of those fields that is going to get an update potentially every year. A couple of years ago, I would have said that you want to use YouTube for your auto captioning instead of Panopto. Now I would no longer say that. So this is definitely something that it's worth getting an update on every year or so. So that's why this presentation is titled All About Captioning in 2021, and I will definitely upload this recording to YouTube, and it will be different from the one that is currently already on YouTube. I'm not going to spend a ton of time talking about the importance of captioning, but this text is here so that you can read it. Essentially, a lot of students are going to be suffering from trouble hearing, especially as they get older, as they have jobs that expose them to loud noises. I feel like that might represent a good chunk of our population. And even those who don't have a disability, don't have an accommodation letter, they benefit from captions. It helps students focus. It helps English as a foreign language learner. It helps students learn in a variety of noisy or quiet environments if they don't happen to have headphones with them. So it's good for everybody. And in this workshop, I'm going to talk about captioning in general. This is going to be more broad, so that there's a lot of misunderstanding about how captions work in general. And so the first part I want to talk about is open versus closed. So most often when we talk about captions, we are talking about closed captions. However, there is such a thing as open captions, more commonly known as baked-in captions. So the idea is that, and I stole these from the internet and from YouTube, so I have no idea what these are from. But the one on the left, you can see that the captions are part of the video, and the user has no option to turn them on or off. The ones on the right, the closed captions, you can see it's got a little black bubble around it. Those are more commonly what you see on like YouTube. And the user can move them around and turn them on and off. So there's a difference between captions that are baked into the video file itself, and then the closed captions, which are separate. And we're going to talk a little bit more about what the difference is. So closed captions, which is generally what we recommend using, the video file does not have any captions in it whatsoever. Okay, so that's the most frequent point of confusion that I run into, is that people think that the captions are somehow hiding somewhere in the video file itself, inside your MP4 file. And that is not true. Video closed captions live in a separate file, and they must be handled separately. Instead of one file that you have to keep track of, which is your video file, you now have two files that you have to keep track of for every video. So essentially, you have a caption file, and you have a video file like an MP4 or what have you, and the video player is the one that reads those two and combines them based on syncing up the timings. So it's the player, meaning YouTube, Panopto, screencast.com, Google Drive, whatever the player is, or the platform, or Canvas, it reads the video file and it reads the caption file, and it knows what to do with those two things. So why would you bother? Why would you not just do baked-in captions for everything? Well, closed captions are recommended because they give the viewer more control. If you have someone who is very sensitive to bright yellow captions, then maybe they don't want that. If someone doesn't like high contrast, maybe they want the captions to be a different color. If they're dyslexic, maybe they want serif font instead of sans serif. What have you. it gives the viewer control over their captions, and they can turn them off if they want to. If someone's really distracted by the captions and they're getting in the way, it lets the viewer turn them on and off. So generally, we recommend using closed captions, even though it does mean you have to keep track of a separate file. And I also want to demystify that file. So this is an SRT file. Caption files come in a couple of common formats. The ones we're really going to talk about today are SRT and VTT. And I don't want that to be intimidating. You don't really need to know anything about that file except the name of it. But just for the record, this is what an SRT file looks like. You can literally open it up in Notepad if you want to. You might have to poke your computer to open it in Notepad. You might try to open it and your computer doesn't really know what to do with it. You can pick a different text editor if you want, but this is all it is. This is a caption file. So we've got line 1. It's going to start at this time. It's going to end at this time. And here is the text. And that is an SRT file. VTT is very similar, but it doesn't have these numbers, for example. It's just they're formatting differences. So this is a caption file. You can literally, if you wanted to, you could open it up in Notepad and make changes to it. I don't recommend doing it that way, but just know that it's nothing intimidating. It's nothing complicated. So like I said, you have to keep track of two files. One video file, one caption file when you are dealing with closed captions. And so each platform that you use, whether it's YouTube, whether it's Panopto, whether it's Google Drive, Canvas, whatever, they have support for different types of caption files. And they have their own process for how you upload those caption files. I'm not going to cover each and every one of them in this presentation. Chances are in a month or two, YouTube could change their process for uploading files, etc. I am going to cover a couple of them just because I think they're most commonly used. But in any case, just remember that if I upload my video to YouTube and then I download it again and I move it somewhere else, say to Canvas or Panopto, I'm going to leave that caption file behind. It's going to get lost unless I also download, move, upload the caption file somewhere else. So you're keeping track of both files now.